Hi everyone, number one Marmaduke fan here. So this week when I went in for New Comic Book Wednesday, I decided to just pick up all the True Believers and a bunch of DC $1 comics, just because as a kind of way of, since I've been out of comics for a while, giving me a little survey of series I could hop into. And I have a few thoughts on this one. What I think my compromise is going to be is I'll still use my phone just to express a few quick thoughts, but I'll use the mic in kind of the podcast format if I want to buckle down and be a bit more serious, or if I want to just have fun and roast something. I think the phone is sort of part of the act for those type of vids. So, Star Wars Princess Leia. This picks up immediately at the end of A New Hope, and observation number one is actual drawings in a recent Star Wars comic book, where they are not 3D models or weird Uncanny Valley photographs. And I even like the digital coloring on C-3PO, kind of making him look golden. The first thing I noticed about this is they're quickly trying to establish a sort of subplot for Princess Leia, where she's apparently perceived as an ice princess. She's perceived as cold and heartless, apparently because while memorializing Alderaan, she makes a brief speech about those who died in Alderaan, and then it's kind of back to business, right? The rebellion must go on. We have to get out of here before the Empire gets us. But then everybody starts calling her like an ice queen and cold and emotionless. And this is a bit odd. It'd be one thing if she had built up a reputation for being kind of a cold person over the course of years, but it's almost like instantly everyone judges her as cold and emotionless as a way of arbitrarily creating a plot point for her, or a character type for her. And she's kind of a tough battle axe character in the Star Wars movies, but you don't get the feeling that she's cold and emotionless. If anything, she's a bit hot in her temperament. But then they introduce this second character, Yvonne, who is a survivor of Alderaan. And I'm pretty sure the reason why this exists is to assuage feminist criticisms that Leia's the only main female character, so they feel like when they give her own series, they got to get her away from Luke and Han and get her with a female co-star, so that you can have a kind of a girls' club thing. I like seeing Akbar get a little humor, but this also doesn't make sense. There are ways that they're kind of doing some weird plot points to try to give her, I don't know, some feminist action girl bones or something. So like other figures from Alderaan, have lost their titles or their, peerage with the destruction of Alderaan, but they're treating her as an important priority to protect, even though her planet is destroyed, the Royal Empire is destroyed. Any claims to royalty she had went away with the planet of Alderaan. So even though the Empire wants her for the sake of revenge, there aren't too many reasons why it's particularly important for the rebellion to keep her under wraps and keep her away from the Empire, unless this guy just has a protective, affection for her and doesn't want her to die a torturous death or something, or unless he explained that you're more useful as a symbol to the rebellion, as the princess, than you are as a scout running around in space. The way they play it, it just seems to be like the Empire wants her, so we're not going to let you go anywhere. Well, the Empire wants them all dead, so I don't know. It's trying to create the idea of a story and a character arc for Leia, but the plot points just seem to kind of come in wham. You can't because we say so, and well, why? What's the? I don't know. But I guess I can forgive it because they are trying to give her obstacles to overcome. They're trying to give her something to work with to help establish her as her own character. It just, and I don't hate it. I don't see it as like SJW Marvel. I just see it as a little bit ham-handed, a ham-handed method of plotting. And Yvonne has this weird thing where she honors and respects the throne of Alderaan, but she personally dislikes Princess Leia. So they have what's cool that they don't just like instantly like each other. They have this interesting relationship where Yvonne respects the princess part of Princess Leia, but dislikes Leia as a person. And Leia enlists her to help her run off and go look for survivors of Alderaan. And then there's a little space chase, and there's some, I'm sure 3D models might have been used as references to draw these, but they are actually drawings. And actually drawing from a reference is infinitely better than just using the 3D model or the photo reference and plopping that in, because the act of drawing on top of the reference will at least give that stylistic consistency with the rest of this world, which is hand drawn. I saw a couple wonky faces, but I am just so happy to see an artist drawing, and it's a husband-wife penciler inker combo, by the way. There's the wonky face. So, but generally really strong, and it was kind of a fun little space race. I didn't feel like they clowned Luke, so they have this ending bit where he says, "Making fools of us, nice work, princess," and she flies off. But this works in character. So, I've talked about not clowning old characters for the point of making a kind of arbitrary, progressive message. And I feel like I would defend this comic because it's not clowning Luke, it's sort of allowing him to he's expressing his admiration of Leia, and you're getting the feeling that he's happy that she's run off, and he didn't like the idea of her being cooped up at the rebel base either. So it's possibly an implication that he let her go, or that he's just impressed that her pilot was able to come up with a means of escape that was clever. So I don't know. I've thought about the character of Princess Leia a lot and how they're treating her in contemporary Star Wars comics, where there seems their interpretation they have seems to be battle axe, and make battle axe the primary character motif. And this seems to be getting slightly at that, but also the idea that she's a princess with a feel of responsibility. She's an action girl who wants to go have adventures. First wave feminist type of character. And I love this enough that I'm going to read the Princess Leia comics, mostly because I'm just happy to see a Star Wars comic book with drawings in it. Earlier I had a review of a goofy, silly John Romita drawn Star Wars droids comic that was purely kind of cartoony, fun Star Wars story for little kids. Was what it was supposed to be. But I loved it because John Romita drew expressive and expressive drawings. He made the droid characters come to life as characters, and he added humor through drawing, which so many Marvel humor books miss on, because they're not thinking of the drawings as a potential for creating humor. They're thinking of drawings as just their own illustration, completely separate from the script, and they try to sell a bunch of goofy, tee-hee, wink at the camera gags through the script. And I don't think... Some people say, oh, well, that's for kids. That's for kids. Don't take it too seriously. But kids don't like kids don't like being lectured to theoretically for the purpose of humor either. Kids don't like 8-minute gags with no payoffs and walls of text like I saw in The Master of Kung Fu one shot. Kids like silly things happening, slipping on banana peels, and they get it when a character has a humorous personality, or there's a fun bounce back between her calling him a scruffy looking nerf herder and Han Solo says, "Who's scruffy looking?" Kids can get that. Kids can get Han Solo kicking the Millennium Falcon to get it to work again, or C-3PO and R2-D2 tripping over each other. But cringy, referential, aren't we so silly kind of humor that actually talks down to kids. Dang it, I got on a tangent about humor, but I'm happy that this is a drawn comic book with some life in the drawing, and I'm going to check out more of the series. I'm #1 Marmaduke fan. Summa Triggerum, Summa Spoilerum, Summa Tangentum. I love you guys. Catch you later.